Okay, now we're going to attempt to unwrap this guy. I've just finished putting these two things on. Now we're gonna assume that we've not done a recommended method, which would be to unwrap one plank first before you start building this, and then duplicate the planks and do what you need to do with them, and that would make your time a lot easier. So we're going to assume we've not done that. What we're going to assume is that we've not thought about that, and we've got to the end where we're happy with our model, and we've collapsed it all in, and then the topic of UVs come up. Okay, and that's usually the case with people getting into modeling. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a UV. I have put one on. I'm just going to put a UV modifier on top of this. I'm going to look at the UVs as they stand. Now they are quite a mess because we've not really done much to them. Okay, so I'm just going to hit Control A and just put a flatten mapping on everything. And we can see what flatten mapping does. It just kind of takes all the faces that are kind of flat and it flattens them out, and then it separates other pieces. And sometimes it's not bad for a starting point. Now I'm just going to put that on because I like to see it all kind of laid out, and then I'm just going to drag it off into here. Now with this being an organic shape, I'm just going to turn my map seams off because I don't really want to see them. Um, I am inclined to peel this out, and what peel does is it kind of pulls the whole model out organically, so that it keeps the scale and less. There's a lot less stretching with the texture. Now the problem with this is when we've got quite an intricate model and it's all overlapping, and we have to go into wireframe to see anything, it's going to be really hard to paint our peel seams in. So for example, if I was doing this, I'd have to go into, so I'd put my seams around here, and I'd have to go all the way in here and maybe go in here and find the bottom of it and then turn it into a peel seam and go from there. Now I'm going to do this a different way around. I'm going to do this where I am going to select the seams. I'm going to create the seams, but without painting them in the 3D viewport. I'm going to put them in the 2D viewport because it's a lot easier for me to access. Now what I'm going to start with is some of the built-in tools in Studio Max and in everything else really. Some of the flatten methods. I'm just going to go through a few of them. So if I double click one of these, it's gonna give it me based on where it is in here. So I might want to grab everything and just do a really bad like a planner map on it or something, just so it's all part of the same thing. And then when I double click, I'll get the whole element. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. We know it came from a box. Okay, that's how we primarily modeled it. So I know that a box map might work on it. So if I put a box map on it, we get some fairly decent results. If we just go select by element, we can drag these out. Okay, and it's not too bad. There we've got the front and a side already welded. Here we've got that's the front, so that's the back, and we've got a side here, and then we've got the top and bottom. So there's the top and there's the bottom. Okay, now we can see where they belong. If we select one of them, you can it highlights where it belongs there. Now what we need to do, I'm just going to turn off my checker, is we need to stitch these together. Okay, and there's a really simple way of doing this. And we've got to bear in mind that box mapping might not work for all of these if we've changed it up a little bit. It's kind of like this model. But for this one, it's fine. So we're going to go into edge mode. Now, I know that this, turn my element off. I always do that. I know that this edge belongs to this edge, so that they need to be sewn together. So if I find stitch and hit the last button, which is stitch custom, it's going to stitch it to it. Now it's going to overlap it a little bit, and we don't really want that, so I'm just going to undo that. I'm going to try from the other side. So I'm going to grab this, and we know that that's that, so we're just going to grab that. Okay, now we don't really want any overlapping going on, so I'm just going to select it and just do a quick peel there, and it will peel it out so it's all the right way. Okay, now I'm just going to grab this side, and you can see that's belonging to there, so I'm just going to do a quick stitch there, and then we're going to select these two top ones, do a quick stitch, these two bottom ones, quick stitch. Now see, this one's flipped in, and that's because we put a box map on, and sometimes it kind of mirrors some of the UVs, but we can fix that by just selecting everything and just doing a quick peel onto it. Now, there we go. We've got quite a nice organic peel of this plank of wood. Now what we do is we just grab this and we'll drag it out. Now if that's too kind of curved for your UV, if you're texturing it in 2D texture mode like Photoshop or Viewport Canvas or something, you could try and relax it by right clicking and just relax a little bit and see what you get out of it. But as you can see for this one, we're not really getting much out of the relax, so it doesn't really matter. Plus, this is a decent shape. You could try and use this straighten selection, but in my opinion, kind of never works, and it might distort some of your model. And what will that do is if I hit that, it will revert it back to its original box type unwrap. Now that's just a little bit too much. If we relax that, it will kind of bring on a bit more of a shape. But that's up to you. You can experiment with what shapes you get depending on what UV you want. So we're going to throw this away outside of here. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. So I'm just going to double click this one. I'm going to try a different mapping technique on this one. So before we did box, and that's fine. I'm going to try flat. So I'm just going to go OK with the defaults. And again, it gives me a similar thing. So we can kind of see, I'm just going to put my element mode on, which is really good for grabbing individual pieces and just moving them around so you're not overlapping things. I'm just going to make this bigger. So what I could do is just, again, turn element mode off. Always do that. And just go in there and just do a quick stitch. And that seems to work quite well. So I'll do another stitch there. That's working well. And then we've got that side, which works well. And then we've got the top two. So we go bring that in. Oh, hang on. It's them two. Bring that in. Always check which ones it's highlighting. Yeah, make sure it's highlighting both. And then we brought that in. Now what we can do is then do a quick peel. And there we go, we've got our shape. Okay, so what we're actually doing is we're actually doing this kind of in reverse. So instead of going in and painting the seams in and getting involved in all the complex geometry and things like that, what we're actually doing is we're selecting the things that we don't want to be seams really by sewing it together at the right points, and then anything that's left around it, like this border, this whole border around it like this, that's going to be the seam. So it's already the seam. So then when we hit peel, it understands this and just pulls it out from there. And that's kind of what we're doing. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue with this and just fast forward it a little bit because we don't want to sit through me doing this. Okay, so when I've kind of finished all of those with the variation of flatten map and box map, what we need to do is check for any kind of overlaps that we might have and try and either relax them out or just move them out with vertices. And this is not going to harm your model really or your texture. It's just that some of these shapes are quite sticking out and sometimes it's hard to get them flat. What we want to do is just bear a thought to which direction that your wood grain is going to go. Now, if I'm doing this in Substance, I know the wood grain by default is vertical. So just as a matter of caution, really, is just rotate each one of them so that they are vertical on the tile like this. So they're all kind of facing, and they're not going to be perfectly vertical because they are, of course, organic to a certain extent. And I'm just checking for any overlapping going on as well. This one you might have a little bit of overlapping. No, it's actually okay. And there we go, we're all right. Now what we can do is we can just grab them all and just pack them and just move them out of the UV. So we know where they all are. We know that they're actually unwrapped. Okay. Now we're just going to get on to the other planks, which again, generally quite simple. Probably can get a good texture out of it by just using the same techniques. But if you do want to, if you have more access to these, if you do want to go in and put some peel seams in and you know, test that out, then that's fine. I'm just going to do the same technique. So I'm just going to bring up my UV view again. I'm going to just double click one of these planks and do a flatten map on it. Now I've put my flatten map up to 82 threshold, which means what it's going to do is it's going to try and break it into less pieces. Sometimes you can overdo that and it starts to weld silly bits together. But 82 is usually around about okay. Now this is the face of the actual plank, as you can see. It resembles the same shape. So I'm going to select this side of it. Actually, I'm going to turn my element off. I've always got that on. I'm just going to hit that. Just going to grab this by element and just pull it out a little bit. This is why I always pull these out. And then I just hit that and stitch that, and we get this unwrap. And then I'm just going to hit that one, stitch that to it. I'm just going to select it all and just do a peel on it. And there we go. We've got our log peeled. It's the same method as there. I'm just going to, as I go, I'm just going to rotate them individually vertical as well. Okay. I'm just going to do this one, flatten map. I might just do them all first, flatten map. Just move them off so I can just easily do them, and then grab that and flatten map. And that one's up there. Okay, so then I can go in and start to just sew them together. Hopefully it'll be an easy job for most of them. So sew that one to there, sew that one there, there. I can grab that and sew it to there. I'll just grab that piece out a minute just so I can see it and see where that's going. That's going to there. So if I sew that there, that's all right. I'm going to do the same with this piece. That one there, that one there. And I'm going to have to move this out again. There we go. And try that there. And let's try that one there. Okay, and then the last one is the same as the first one, I think. So we can just grab this edge, put it there. Let's just move this out a little bit. Grab this edge, put it there, and then this edge is going to go there. I'm going to grab all of them, all three of them ones, and we're just going to hit peel, and we'll get a nice peel. Now we're going to individually rotate them so that they are vertical. I think these are actually vertical. Let's have a look. Yep, they are. And I'm going to grab everything again. I'm just going to pack them, and that's going to rescale them so that they are relevant to everything else. And there we go. We've got that. Now what I'm going to do is just do these. Now these are actually really easy. All I need to do is, because they've got no back face to them, because that's how we've built them, we deleted the back face. It's an automatic seam. So all I need to do here is select one edge and then just convert that into a peel seam. I'm going to do this on all three first before I do any peeling. I'll just convert to a seam. And then I'm going to do this over here because I can't see that. The parallel ones. It doesn't matter where you put these. Convert to seam now. I go in. I'll just grab all of them by double clicking. I'm just going to do a nice peel and we get a nice unwrap. Now, again, if you can actually get these as vertical as you want, as you can, then go ahead. Let's do this. Now, they're not going to be perfect. Now, with this, you can actually use the straighten element tool, which is here, reshape elements. We can straighten it out, but you might get a little bit of stretching. But we can always do a relax on it. So it's fairly straight, but it's still kind of relaxed like this. Okay, do that. Now that to me is all right. So I'm going to grab everything. I'm just going to pack it and it's going to put them right at the side there. And that's all right by us. Now, obviously we need a bottom to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bake all of that data into this model by just collapsing it all. Okay, and then I'm going to go into element, select these, and just Control Shift, copy them to the element. Just going to move that up. I obviously need to reposition this a little bit. Okay, there we go. That'll do me. Fine by me. And then put a UV over the top, come out of element mode, put UV over the top again, and just have a look. Now, obviously, that lid is here. Now there's two of them, but they're sharing the same UV space, so we need to repack everything, and you'll see some more of them appear. Okay, and I think we can bake that down, and we're ready to go.